Hey guys, I'm Jermaine and welcome to my YouTube channel. Super glad you're here. So, in this video, I want to play a podcast clip from a podcast that actor Armie Hammer did with his mom, just sharing his point of view of not being a Christian and his mom's point of view of being a Christian, and just sharing his experience because I think this is a really interesting conversation. And then after I play the video, I want to share my thoughts on it because I think it'll widen our view and our eyes, maybe of some things that we don't think about how to approach relating with people and connecting with people, even from a Christian perspective, that I don't think we do really well oftentimes.
If everyone you meet is simply an opportunity for you to win someone to Jesus, you're not actually interacting with these people where they are. And I think that as your son, it's never a genuine curiosity about where I am, but I think you need to be at this place. You're going to change the world. You're going to win millions to Jesus. These are things that you say to me all the time, right? That makes me feel like I'm not enough as I am, that I'm not really seen by my mother. There's not a maternal relationship, it's a pastoral relationship. And that, I think, is why we've had a strained relationship.
Mm-hmm. Oh, you want me to comment on that?
You don't have to.
Okay.
I'm just telling you what I think.
So, in that clip, he talks about having the perspective that a lot of Christians have often, that every person they meet or come in contact with, they're trying to evangelize or win to the Lord. And that sounds great, and that's a good thing to do. And his point in this conversation is he doesn't feel like a person. He feels like a project. He feels like her interaction with him is only to try to win him to the Lord or try to convert him, and not really interacting with him like a person. So he goes on to describe he doesn't even feel like he has a maternal relationship with his mom, but just a pastoral one where it's just she's trying to win him to the Lord or convert him. And he says he doesn't feel seen, he doesn't feel acknowledged, he doesn't feel connected to. And I think that's a really valid point that he's making. As believers, sometimes we do get this focus of, I'm trying to win this person to the Lord. I'm trying to convert this person. I'm trying to just kind of basically win them to Jesus, but not recognizing that this person is a human being with fears, with feelings, with all kinds of traumas they've been through, and they're a whole human being who has lived a life that need to be acknowledged also. So I think if we treat people like project, people can quickly discern that. People can quickly feel that, and I think that if people don't feel cared about by you, if people don't feel acknowledged by you, if people don't feel like you actually value their well-being, the impact of them coming to Jesus and seeing that conversion take place, I think that does a real harm to our witness, that does a real harm to the gospel, because as human beings, that's who Jesus came to save. He came to redeem human beings, all of who we are, and not just for the sake of salvation, but he's trying to make us whole. And I think when people don't feel connected to, and when people don't feel like we actually care about them, it becomes a boundary and a blockage to them actually wanting to connect to Jesus, because they're saying, if you're representing Jesus and you don't even really care about them, but you just care about a project, you just care about an accomplishment of checking a box, I won them to the Lord, and you don't actually want to know, like, what's your day like? Like, what's your concerns? What's your fears? Because when you're just saying, I want to win you to the Lord, you're dismissing all of their fears. You're dismissing all of their pain. You're dismissing all of the concerns. You're dismissing who they are as a person. And you're devaluing the humanity of who they are. And that's not what Jesus came to. Jesus didn't come to devalue our humanity. Jesus came to heal our humanity and to bring our humanity into a place of wholeness, into a place of love, of healing, of wholeness. And oftentimes when we're negating that and we're just looking at this as a project because of maybe black and white thinking of saved and unsaved, and I think it's a little bit more nuanced at it. I think we're in a process of being saved, as some of the Orthodox would define that, that we're all on a journey. And it's important for us to show up and to meet people where they are on their journey, because if we're just looking at them and trying to get them to an end result, we're not meeting them where they are on their journey. And we're all on a journey too. Even if we consider ourselves Christians and we're saved, we're still on a journey too. And there are areas in your life and areas in my life that I want to see that improve. I want to get better in this area. Man, I'm not living up to what I could live up to in this area. And I just to show up to where I am today and be present and acknowledge the reality of where I am today and let God meet me in that space and then lead me slowly to where He's taking me. But I have to live in the moment that I'm in. And sometimes when we're interacting with people who are non-believers at the moment, we're like, no, they need to become believers, and we're aggressively trying to push them to that place. I don't think that's a healthy approach. I think it's meeting them where they are and finding out where God's already meeting them on that journey, and acknowledging that and partnering with that, and being able to lead them into that, in that place of showing them love, of showing them unconditional kindness, of showing them that you care. Because if they don't even think you care about them, and they're just a project, they're not going to want to connect to that. No one wants to connect to that. And I think it's important for us to carry the heart of God in love and to meet people where they are and to love them in the middle of their brokenness, and not just demanding that they're changing, because Christ did that for us. He met us in our brokenness, and he loved us in our brokenness, but He didn't leave us there. He leads us out of that. But that's a process that God does. That's a process that God undertakes in our lives. And if we're trying to force that process in someone else's life, that's not going to work, because we're not the Holy Spirit. Our job is to love people and to show them the love of God and let them encounter the love of God through us, and let them see His kindness, let them see His care for them. And out of that, let the love of God draw them, and let that experience show them who Christ is. Let that experience show them the light that God is, and to move them towards who God's called them to be. And I think we sometimes, when we get so mission oriented and so mission focused, we're missing that these are human beings just like us. They have fears, they have concerns, and we start making them other. We start making them different than us, and they're non-believers, and they need to be saved, and they need to come to Jesus because they're bad. Instead of thinking this is a human being who's struggling also, that needs love, that needs care, and we can help them in their process. So I think it's important to understand that Armie in this video articulately describes his experience. He didn't feel connected to his own mother. And so of course he's going to be resistant. Of course he's going to not want to connect to her in that place, because his interaction with her, no fault to her, but I'm just explaining what the interaction that we're seeing taking place, and why someone begin to be resistant to the gospel, because we're treating them like projects. We're treating them less than human. And so if we can really look at someone and see their humanity and love them from that place, and let the love of God be fully alive in us, then we can probably have a greater impact on those around us, if we could actually love them the way that God has called us to love them, and to demonstrate the love of God in a way that's real, in a way that's true. All right, so I want you to go ahead and take a look at this other clip from this podcast episode, which I think is actually really good. So she kind of responds and gives her side. I think this is really important to see.
I know a lot of it is my failure as a mother, because I did not protect you from a molester. I take 100% responsibility. I was not there emotionally. I was raised in such a different culture that you just prayed about it. But I was wrong, and I failed you as a mother.
Thank you.
I've told you that before,
I know,
and I'm going to continue telling you that.
But I just want to say, like, I do appreciate that.
Yeah, so she says something really powerful here. She begins to identify where she failed. And she said, I wasn't there for you emotionally. I didn't protect you. And I just prayed about it. And she owns that. And I think that's a powerful thing to recognize and to understand, because I think kind of back to my point is, we have to relate to people as human beings. We have to relate to them as people. And so she admits that she didn't relate to him as a mother. She was emotionally not present for him as a mother, which then leads to him feeling abandoned by her. And then obviously tying that to God. And there's a lot more to this story that I don't even fully know, just what's alluded to in this podcast. But uh, I appreciate how she took responsibility and she apologized and she recognized and owned where she didn't live up to what she could have for the best for him. And I think that this is what healing looks like. This is what a road of restoration look like, is owning our mistakes. It's owning our weakness. She honestly, I'm sure she did the best that she could with the knowledge that she had. And I'm sure she's grown, like we all are growing in wisdom, and we learn more as we live. We discover more as we have more experiences and more exposure, and realize we could do things better in relating to people. We can do things better in how we connect to people. But I think it's so important to treat everyone we encounter as a person, to treat every single human being with dignity, to treat every single person with the love of God, because I think that's what impacts people's hearts. That's what impacts people's lives. That's what makes the difference. If we treat people like projects, we're wounding them and we're not healing them. We're adding to the issue and we're not fixing the issue. So I just an encouragement for all of us to remember this when we deal with people, when we meet people, when we interact with people. Come from the heart of love. Come from the place of seeing them as Christ sees them, as human beings that deserve love, deserve kindness, deserve care, because every single human being deserves that, and not to be looked at as a project, not to be looked at as an object, but to be looked at as a human being made in the image of God, deserving care, deserving love, and deserving empathy. So just my thoughts on that, just to encourage you, of just how we can all do better in relating to others. Blessings. If this was encouraging to you, click like, subscribe, share this with someone else, just to get the word out there and let this be an encouragement to them also.